Hi, I'm Kesenya and welcome to Guiding Star Astrology. I'm your Astro Weather Girl, here with this week's Astro Weather Report. I'm going to show you how the stars are going to affect your life this week. In my videos, I use both Vedic and traditional Western techniques with tropical astrology, not sidereal astrology. I also use the traditional system of whole sign astrology for my analysis. You can use this video to the best of your advantage by listening to the introduction to understand what the week holds for you, and then going to the timestamps for your sun, moon, and rising sign to get a more personalized forecast for the week ahead. Astrology is not designed to scare you. It's designed to give you information so that you know what the good and the challenging energies in the week ahead will be, and you can therefore consciously work with them to the best of your advantage. Remember, knowledge is power. Now, there are scammers about, and so if you should receive a message from me on any platform requesting your money for a reading, know that it is a scam. Report them immediately. And now settle in and let's see what the astral skies have in store for the week ahead. Hello astrology lovers out there in YouTube land. So happy to be with you again for this week's Astro Weather. Fascinating energies at play. Before we dig in, I want to say another thank you to the marvelous Lee Winter, one of my YouTube followers, who has designed and sent me a ton of beautiful earrings. So I'm working my way through them each week, sharing with you Lee's wonderful designs. If you're interested in Lee's earrings, you can go to Designs by Lee Winter on Instagram, and Lee is spelled L-E-E. So thank you again, Lee. Also, before we dive into the astro weather for this week, I just want to mention our upcoming tour to Egypt. We have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to this incredible ancient land with us this November. David Warner Matheson, my husband, and myself and Patricia Owen Lehman, touring us through all these sacred ancient sites. Now, if you would like to join, you only have until the last week in June to make your booking. The link's in the description below. We have special privileged site access across a number of very sacred ancient places, and they require advanced booking of numbers, like severely advanced booking. So we need to get in now in order not to miss out. So we need bookings by the end of June. And if you're thinking about it, please come join us in Egypt this November. Links in the description. There's plenty of information if you follow the link to find out more. So what else is happening in the skies this week? Well, we have on the 8th of June, that's American time, Venus square to Saturn. So here is Saturn up here in Pisces. Venus down here in a sort of a conjunction with the Sun is in a square aspect to Pisces. Now, this is my favorite transit, said nobody ever. Okay, in the negative, this twice annual transit can bring us feelings of disappointment. We're frustrated with love, we're frustrated by our duties and responsibilities. We have difficulty in relaxing. We have a hard time having fun. We see our money go down the drain. We feel repressed by all our intimate connections. They're almost suffocating to us. Naturally, without consciousness, this transit on the 8th of June can bring us a sense of melancholy and brooding. Forewarned, forearmed with this one. And there is a secret to working with this energy. Detach a little. Realize that this is just an energy that's passing, that's doing its thing, that's probably teaching you something about yourself and about your life. Allow it to just pass through, knowing it's not going to last forever. And take time to rest. Take time to be kind to yourself, even in little ways. Observe your relationships at this time with objectivity, knowing that this is all going to pass. It happens twice a year. It's not an unfamiliar energy, but it's a frustrating one. Also on the 8th of June, Mars, who's here, moves into the sign of Taurus. Kaboom! This is a big one, a change in energy. So whoa there. Here goes the master of energy and vitality going into the slow, steady influence of Taurus. And this is a real change of pace because Mars, when he's in Aries, is in his own sign, very powerful, but he's all about speed and racing along in life. So speed is no longer an imperative when Mars moves into Taurus. Fast events, fast connections, rapid pace of life. No more. We begin to feel calmer. We begin to feel more easygoing. Phew. Have a catching of your breath now on the 8th of June when Mars moves into this beautiful, slow, steady sign. But the one thing to be aware of is that arguments, though they might be slow to manifest here in Taurus, they'll tend to stick in our craw for the long term, and that's just the nature of Mars. Mars is argumentative. Taurus is things that come in slowly, but when they do come in, my God, they are with you for a long time. You might never shed that grudge that crops up in the coming 2 months of this transit. So be aware, be conscious, try to maintain as much peace, balance, harmony, and equilibrium as you can going forward. Now, we can also direct our energy into projects that are more geared towards security and stability now. So what do you need to do in your life? What action do you need to take in your life, Mars's action, towards creating security and stability for yourself? That's where we can direct our energy productively. We also aren't afraid to, get down and dirty and work for what we want with this energy. And we tend to tackle those goals with more diligence and more patience now as Mars moves through the sign of Taurus. So it is a good energy. I see this as a positive, helping energy if we can work with it in the right ways. And delightfully, the planet of sex is now in the sensual Venus-ruled sign of Taurus, and this can bring about long-lasting encounters that truly tantalize. So slow lovemaking is on the cards, my friends. Slow and enjoyable and sensual. So yay. Now on the 9th of June, that's using American dates, the Sun will make a square to Saturn. And I talked about this in my new moon report for my Patreon family just recently, last week. If you want to join the Patreon family and find out how this quite incredible Gemini new moon is flourishing in your life, go and check out the link in the description below. But Sun square Saturn is a big part of the energy of this week, like I said, on the 9th of June. Are you feeling constricted on the 9th of June? Do you feel like you could squash your confidence right down and fit inside a little matchbox? This is a really difficult, as we would say in Australia, a sucky energy. But it too shall pass. It also happens twice a year, so it's not unusual. So we've got these two Venus square, Sun square that happen twice a year that leave us feeling lackluster, a bit, unhappy, a bit disappointed, a bit pessimistic, both happening this week. So it could be a heavy-duty week in that regard. If you need to sleep it off, if you need to take it easy, if you need to rest, then do so, because Saturn square Mars can cause our vitality to deplete somewhat, and we just don't have the energy. You know what it's like when your legs feel like lead and you go out for your usual jog or whatever, and you just, it just feels like everything's moving slower through you, and you can't, it's like you've got concrete shoes while you're trying to go running, that heaviness that can sometimes be present in the body you might feel this week because of this energy. Maybe you're feeling a lack of support, generally speaking, in your life. Well, if that is the case, there's not a lot you can do about whether or not you're receiving external support. You might like to reach out to friends. You might like to reach out to perhaps community or government organizations that can help you if you need more support and you're feeling it strongly around this time. But for those of us who tend to just endure and push through these things, reach for your flannelette pajamas, reach for that block of chocolate, grab an old teddy bear to cuddle and put on that great movie that you love, Just take it easy. Support yourself in whatever ways work for you. If you're in a position where you feel like the waiting will never end because Saturn makes things feel stuck and blocked and like, oh my God, come on, hurry up. I know you've got something prepared for me, universe. I know it's just around the corner. My God, why do I have to wait? This is driving me crazy. You know that feeling? You'll feel it under this energy. Well, if you're in that boat, why not stretch out on the lawn in the sunshine and soak up some rays? essentially, what I'm trying to say here is there's no point in fighting this heavy energy. The only way to dance with Saturn Sun square is to practice acceptance, patience, stoicism, and enjoy yourself as much as possible while you just wait and push through. Endurance is the name of the game, so find the best way to endure and just be present in that. And before you know it, this energy is over, done and dusted for another 6 months. Yay. So it is a heavy week because of these two energies, but it's an extra heavy week because on the 11th of June, American time, Mars is going to square Pluto. So here is Mars in the first degrees of Taurus, making a square aspect to Pluto in Aquarius, the fixed signs. Yikes. And we thought that the start of 2024 had already hung out its nasty underwear to dry. How wrong we were. Here we go with some seriously unattractive Y-fronts, my friends. Although, on the underwear topic, Pluto-Mars square in the positive can actually find us, readily removing our underwear at the slightest opportunity because it's a very sexualized energy, We're a bit randy, we're a bit horny, we're ready to go, So that can happen, especially if these two planets at the first degree of Taurus and Aquarius are triggering anything in your chart. That can be positive if you have the outlet to enjoy that and get into it. But in the negative, this is an energy, Pluto, the god of the underworld, Mars, the god of war, can create aggression and manipulation as part of this dynamic. You might see it in your own life. You might see it in the world around you on the 11th of June. Watching the news will be very, very interesting. There can be traumas, there can be cheating, there can be crime, there can be violence, there can be accidents. These are not uncommon under this combination, even if it's just on the news. You'll notice that there's more of it. Now, this energy also happens once annually. Mars takes 2 years to go around the horoscope, and it will make 2 squares to Pluto in that time. So it's a once annual event. Mars is also a fast energy, and Pluto wants transformation. So expect dramatic life turns around with this transit. It could bring to manifest something in an instant. Very fast, Mars, change in life. Not like a Tats Lotto win, unfortunately. That's more of a Mars-Pluto trine, which is a lovely energy. But this one is more like an earthquake. Be sure to wear your clean underwear for that one. So it's a hard energy of aggression, ruthlessness, manipulation, anger clashes, power struggles, people pushing our buttons, traumas, cheating, crime, violence, as I said, and accidents. Sexually excited energy, but you need to be careful if you're dating under this energy. It's not good for romantic relationships to begin under Pluto-Mars square. Partners can end up being very cruel to one another if you form a relationship during this time. Not only that, Mars-Pluto square can also mean violence in the dating scene. If you're out there dating and meeting someone new, it could mean sexual violence, it could mean some sort of abuse. So bide your time, cool your heels, wait a week or so until this energy starts to dissipate. Okay, this energy will be with us and playing out for roughly a week, so cool your heels. It's not a good time for dating. Just forewarned, forearmed, my friends. Fast transformations can happen as well. We might be more prone to taking some dangerous risks, acting without thinking, feeling like we're invincible and then paying the consequences. And we can become obsessed with our ambitions and with winning. I'm going to be talking about this and how it might manifest for all signs as we go forward with this reading. Now, on the 12th of June, Mercury is going to be square Saturn. What a week. This week actually sucks, I've got to say. You've got everything squaring, the two heavy duties, Saturn, there we go, Saturn and Pluto. Sorry, I'm just thinking as I'm talking here that Mercury should be more up this way to make an actual square to Saturn, so fixing that up. But it's time with Mercury square Saturn to notice that amber traffic light and act accordingly. This is going to be a challenging week. Going down the mental rabbit hole on the 12th of June with loneliness, depression, sadness, and poor me, victim mentality is very likely. So again, what can we do? Put our foot on the brake, slow down, give ourselves a mental rest if we can. So make sure that you have some really beautiful self-love strategies up your sleeve, just in case you hit struggle street with this energy. Negative thinking, gloomy attitudes, feeling at odds with your social and familial circles are energies to be aware of now. But you can channel this into something productive if you would choose. Things like detailed work, goal setting, planning, reading, to get better results. And if you read something serious like a self-help manual or a self-help book, even an astrology book, I would suggest reading under this energy can be really a good use of this combination. And another thing you can do is clean. Give me more cleaning, said nobody ever. But this is actually a day when doing constructive, productive work like cleaning, spring cleaning the cupboards, taking things to the thrift shop, Saturn rules thrift shops, can actually help us feel a little better. So grab your mop, grab your cleaning gear, get into it, and you may feel a lot better for doing so. Okay, then we're going to have Sun conjunct Mercury down here as Mercury is moving through. We're going to have Sun conjunct Mercury. But my friends, this is the 14th of June and this is not Mercury cazimi. Okay? Again, like Venus, Mercury, I'm going to move him along here, will be around here behind the Sun, not in front of the Sun. So many astrologers get this wrong. When Mercury or Venus are behind the Sun and therefore they're combust, they are not cazimi. Cazimi is different. So under this energy, we lose the power of Mercury. We may lose our usual humor, our wittiness, our sociability. Our usual ability to communicate can become a little bit burnt up. We might feel restless and uncomfortable. We might feel dissatisfied with our lives for no apparent reason at all. Okay, but I don't want you to fret though. This is actually a wonderful transit in that it represents the halfway point of the Mercury cycle. And it's the culmination of whatever was unfolding during the last Mercury retrograde period we experienced. So look back to that time. What was unfolding during the last Mercury retrograde that we experienced in your life? And the last Mercury retrograde we had occurred on the 1st of April and lasted till the 24th of April. That's when Mercury was retrograde. So where were you at that time? And what were you doing? And what was significant in your life then? Well, that was the beginning of this Mercury Promethean cycle. What messages did Mercury retrograde bring you at that time? So there should have been follow-up action on those messages from Spirit by now. Maybe people coming back into your life, you rejigging what was not working, adjusting your social expectations, reinvigorating what had become worn out. The Promethean retrograde and direct cycle is now concluded. And we're about to begin a brand new phase of Mercury energy. So yes, this is not Mercury cazimi. It lacks that empowerment, but there are other good things happening that this cycle speaks to. So I'm excited by this. We also, I must mention that we have a Jupiter who's combust in the glare of the sun right now. We have Mercury, we have Venus. The moon is just moving out of combust phase this week with the sun, or cazimi phase. The moon does go into a cazimi phase with the sun this week. So all these planets have been invisible. And from now on, they're going to start moving towards visibility, or at least Mercury, Venus, and the moon are. And that's going to be a blessing as they become visible over the coming weeks of June. Something to look forward to. So as you can see, just to sum up this week, it's pretty intense. There's lots of squares, there's combustions and invisibilities of planets. It's a hard energy. Be stoic, my friends. Seek support wherever you can find it. Reach out in love and compassion to those that you care about right now, and let's help one another through through this more difficult energy, knowing that there are good things to come. Okay, let's start our all signs breakdown for Pluto square Mars, and this is happening on the 11th of June. We're going to start with Taurus because that's where we'll probably feel most of the manifestation, because that is where the faster moving planet is, which is Mars up here squaring with Pluto. Now, Mars in the first house for a Taurus rising person or a sun or a moon person, you can look at it either, can bring things that are slow to manifest but long to last. Okay, so whatever happens, slow to manifest, long to last. So there's a lot of like you might be causing a lot of anger clashes, Taurus. I hate to say it, but this is in the house of you. And so you are the one that potentially could be pushing other people's buttons, causing, problems for other people, traumas for other people. You mightn't even be aware of it, but that can be the case. Mars is expressing in the house of you. Or you might feel victimized, like life has done you wrong and there's frustration here. You're angry at yourself. You're angry maybe at the choices you made. You're frustrated at the situation you're finding yourself in right now in life. And that's a really hard place to be. I just send you my love and prayers regarding that. It can be very, very difficult when we are angry and frustrated at ourselves. That's another way that this can manifest. So try to remember to be kind and compassionate to yourself. You may be called upon with this energy to take a risk. Be very conscious about doing so. Make sure you look at the pros and cons and add up the weigh the benefits. Don't act without thinking. That's a danger of this energy. You might be called upon to be a warrior. To develop a warrior mentality, to fight for something. This is a way you can use this energy for good. Fight for something worthwhile. Fight for something that is meaningful to you now, rather than, going down that rabbit hole of I'm so annoyed with my life. Where can you direct that passionate energy that can actually bring more blessing? There might be more contention, more arguments, more aggression in your life this week. Forewarned, forearmed about that. Like I said, buttons can be pressed easily. You might be more reactive than usual. You might be more defensive than usual. Again, it's a highly sexualized period. You might be the one pursuing it, because remember the action energy of Mars goes into the house of you. You might be dressing more, dressing more provocatively, trying to look more sexy when you go out and about. That just might be part of the expression in the house of the aura, the image, the presentation that we have. The other thing that Pluto-Mars square can do when it's exhibiting like this through the first house is might make you a little bit more tomboyish. It's a masculine energy. And so, you might be like, I'm going to wear, instead of my sexy leather miniskirt, I'm going to wear my jeans and, some Converse sneakers. And, you if you're a woman, you're dressing more tomboyish potentially. So sexy or tomboyish. Either polarity is, if you're a woman, how you might be expressing. And as a guy, you're probably going to want to get more macho, like give me a muscle shirt, I've got to show off my guns kind of thing. That can be how Mars can be expressing in the house of our presentation to the world when it's squaring Pluto. Nothing wrong with that. That's just how the energy comes forward. You might be very conscious about transforming your muscles. Mars rules muscles in the house of the body. Pluto wants to transform things. Again, don't overdo it. You could strain a muscle. You could have an accident with your muscles, but you will be thinking more sports-mindedly, wanting to get out there and sort of, get to the gym and pump some iron and work out and, build up those guns. It can also make you more inclined to get involved in something physically reckless, being a bit of a daredevil. So be very careful. This is an energy that can bring accidents about. And I want you all here next week with me when I do the next week's Astro Weather Report. It can make you very competitive with other people. You mightn't usually be a very competitive type of person, but this week all of a sudden people are pushing your buttons. You're like, I'm going to show them, or you're at the traffic lights and you're like, there's a dickhead beside me. F that guy. And away you go as soon as the lights turn green. I always think of the scene in Back to the Future where he crashes into Needle's van or something like that, or at the lights, when I'm thinking about people dragging one another off at the traffic lights. Be careful. But part of the story this week might be about meeting with crisis in some manner, needing to fix a problem. It might be the mission of the next week or so. It might even create a circumstance that you are dealing with until there's the next aspect between Mars and Pluto that will be an opposition between Mars in Leo and Pluto in Aquarius. So, there might be some crisis that comes up, or some problem or some accident or issue that needs addressing. over the next roughly 6 months or so. You might find that you have more challenges this week, but you'll be strong enough to stand up to the challenge and to overcome. So Mars is in the house of you, giving you the vitality, you the strength. You can do this, my friends, no matter what comes. There's also a need to be active and a need to have big, ambitious goals to pursue. And there's nothing wrong with this. Just don't be ruthless and stomp all over other people to get there. Put your energy into being competitive in a healthy way. Maybe, competing with yourself over something. Maybe you want to get the best time for your run. And so you compete against your last best time, that sort of thing. Compete against yourself to avoid driving other people around you crazy. Or maybe, get physically active and direct that energy into something productive and good for yourself. Just don't overdo it. Mars in the first house can have you talking faster or thinking faster. Maybe not so much thinking, maybe talking. How you're presenting to the world can come out quicker. In fact, you might be sort of stumbling over your words a bit in the week ahead. So slow down, take your time. You might feel like you're moving fast through life and that life is just whizzing past you and you can barely keep up and you need to catch your breath this week. You might have that feeling about it. For some people, not everybody, this would have to be interacting very significantly with your personal chart, but for some people there might be a need for an operation, or there might be something that happens that causes some sort of a scar on the head. Not for everybody, but for some. You're putting your earrings in the morning. Thank you, Lee Winter, for mine. Putting your earrings in and you scratch your earlobe with the little pokey bit that goes through your ear. And, there you go. You got a scar on your ear for some reason just from doing something very, straightforward and mundane about how you're presenting yourself to the world. Some people also, because this is the house of health, might be a bit more prone to fevers this week. Mars brings inflammation, more pimples, more redness, more, rashes, more fevers. Be careful of that. If it happens, you'll know why. You'll know that the energy will pass. It's nothing to worry about. It's just that extra expression of Mars square Pluto that's trying to come out. Thank you, Taurus. I just want to mention that about our Egypt tour. I've talked a lot about this in past videos. We have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to this incredible ancient land with us, David Warner Matheson and myself and Patricia Owen Lehman this November. And if you would like to join, you have until the last week in June to book. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places and they require advanced booking. So get in now, secure your place, and don't miss out on this incredible journey. Thank you, Taurus. Now we're moving along to Aries. Aries rising, Aries sun and Aries moon people puts Mars in Taurus, squaring Pluto at 1 degree on the 11th of June in your second house. So this is where second house things might be slow to manifest, but long to last. Here we go. Okay. So one thing that this can bring is sort of an obsession or like fanatical enthusiasm to go after finances and assets and collections, even knowledge and records, and you might even be like extra obsessive, extra competitive when it comes to acquiring some sort of material resources. What a week if you're going to an auction, like this could be really, really full on, Aries, be very careful because this is a reckless energy. If you're going to an auction or a real estate sale or something like that, be extra careful of getting carried away with the competitiveness of the situation and overextending yourself financially. Very, very careful of those sorts of situations. This energy of Pluto, Mars can be dangerous in that regard. Now, our ambitions regarding material prosperity and personal security in life become very driven. And like I've just suggested, we can take some risks and act without thinking towards this end. Be very careful of that, my friends. You can have aggression and ruthlessness with anyone you perceive to be your competition in obtaining something. You can be it can even look like being aggressive or ruthless and manipulative with a bank manager, or the bank being that way to you. Hello, surprise, surprise, Some people won't be shocked to hear that. Manipulating you, trying to nickel and dime you and get all they can out of you. Very anger-inducing and frustrating. For some of you, if you want to use this energy to the good, you can, pardon me, direct this enthused energy, let's say, into the ability to become a self-made person. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps, achieve some sort of financial, material success with your own personal effort. And Pluto square Mars can give you a lot of willpower, a lot of, like I said, obsessiveness about changing your financial circumstances in life. Sometimes we need that. Sometimes this energy can be for the good. It gives us the kick in the pants we need to, pull out all the stops and just go for it. Okay? So that can be a blessing if you've been sort of twiddling your thumbs and the money's dwindling away and, you're biting your nails about where things are going to come from next. This energy can give you a lot of oomph towards putting personal effort into making ends meet. You can also potentially get some money or create some. I wouldn't do any long-term investments with this. This energy is too nasty and volatile. And ruthless, but there might be some money that might come to you this week through Mars related activities, metals, machines, precious jewelry, stones, sports, sex. Mars rules, property and ancient astrology can be another thing, guns, war. So you might get some money from those sources if you've invested in them previously. They can sort of pay dividends now. In some way. I say that because you wouldn't want this energy in a chart of any financial investment. So it's not a time for investing, but it can be a time for receiving the rewards of your investments that you've done previously under better astrological conditions. I probably should have said in the introduction that this energy on a mundane level can bring sort of heightened war mongering and war activities. So be very careful if you're in a volatile country. You might be prone to sort of seeing things exacerbated in some way. Another way this can manifest in the chart of Aries rising people is that you might get money quickly. Mars is fast energy in the second house of your resources, but you'll spend it just as quickly. It comes in and then everybody's got their hand out for something from you. Get quickly, spend quickly. Also, avoid like the plague get rich quick schemes. You might be attracted to them. Mars is that fast energy and you want money fast, but it's not a good time for those things as well. Now, Mars is a pioneer and can manifest sometimes with this energy some breakthroughs regarding resources and possessions. So for some of you, depending what's happening in your natal chart, you might actually, you felt blocked, you felt restricted, you felt like there's no change coming at all financially and materially. Then kaboom, all of a sudden it's like a 180-degree turnaround. You can barely catch your breath with how quickly you've had a breakthrough regarding your resources and possessions. Some of you might be very protective and defensive of your belongings and possessions now. Somebody asks if they can, borrow something and you're like, no way, and or somebody like a child or something might wreck your couch or whatever. That happens when you've got children, and you go off your nut about it. You lose your sense of balance and proportion about it. And that poor little kid, is carrying psychological wounds the rest of his life because of that. So forewarned, be very careful about the ways in which you might be protective and defensive about your belongings. There can be some family stress. In Vedic astrology, the second house does have connections to family. So some family stress, family arguments, especially family arguments about financial resources, lack thereof, under this influence as well. Many people are going to have a very strong drive to be independent and self-sufficient financially. There's a valuing of strength and competitiveness and power, stamina, valuing go-getting behaviors now. Just be careful of putting too much emphasis on the ruthlessness and the manipulation to that end. You might also find that in the next 6 months that owning things ultimately brings a sense of empowerment to your life, because in the next 6 months we're going to be having a Pluto to Mars trine form, and so that'll be one of the next major aspects that forms from out of this. So something that's been frustrating now might over the next 6 months turn into something that is more empowered through you owning something, having a collection, having resources. You might get the opportunity this week to use your voice in a powerful way. You might be very quick to speak as well and then regret it later. So bide your time with your words, slow to manifest the frustrated, angry energy that might want to bubble up. Self-worth is seen from the second house, and you might feel, if you haven't been achieving a sense of wealth, or security or stability in your life, you might get down on yourself and feel a sense of, I'm not good enough. What did I do wrong to deserve this in life? Why isn't life working for me? I'm no good. So be aware that there might be a process of that sort if you put value in wealth being an example of your success in life and your worth in life. Mars in the second house, you might also value this week overcoming a crisis or using your willpower or building muscles or acquiring assets. These things, Mars, Pluto things can be where you're putting your value this week. It may not last, that's what you value, but this week you might value those things. Slow down if you can. Enjoy and take time to, in this case, in the second house, eat your food. Or you might develop gut problems. This is very much a combination for being very conscious about the slow food movement. If you don't know what the slow food movement is, check it out. It's fantastic. But it's also about eating slowly, or you could get quite unwell. Okay. You'll also be thirsty a lot more than usual this week. So, drink plenty of fluids. And you might even be very hungry. Mars is in the second house that has to do with hunger, when we are hungry, for sensual things, and sexy things. Mars rules those things. Now, the higher nature of Mars is the willpower and soldier-like discipline. That could be being empowered through a difficult circumstance. So Pluto might be empowering Mars to be more use your willpower, to use your soldier-like discipline, but it'll be coming out of a difficult life situation, square aspect, and you might end up being, because of that, ultimately, if you use it for good, able to be more disciplined about your health, your diet, food, resources, luxuries, all those second house things we've been talking about. There's also a protective drive here as well. You will be very protective, like I said, of your things, of your stuff, but also, knowledge. Knowledge is sometimes seen through the second house, or family. Family life is seen through the second house as well in Vedic astrology. So you might be being very protective of that, which is a nice application of this energy. So thank you, Aries. I just want to mention before we go that our Egypt tour in November, David Warner Matheson, my husband, and Patricia Owen Lehman and I are hosting a sacred tour through Egypt. We have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to this incredible ancient land with us in November. And if you'd like to join us, and I hope you do, you have till the last week in June to book. We are going to have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places, and they require advanced booking. So get in now. And don't miss out. The link's in the description below. Thank you, my beautiful Aries friends. Moving along to Pisces, my lovely fellow Pisceans, Pisces rising, Pisces sun, Pisces moon people. Well, Pluto is squaring Mars, or Mars is squaring Pluto from Aquarius to Taurus at 1 degree. If you've got anything in those positions, this is going to be very pertinent in your life. This is happening on the 11th of June. And whatever I'm going to talk about now might come in slow to manifest, but be very long to last. The nature of Taurus is slow, but enduring. Okay? Mars in the third house means that Pisces, our speech is going to be energized. And our communication. We might be just so busy with lots of emails, lots of writing, lots of talking. We might be talking more loudly than usual. Pisces isn't known for its loud talking, but you might be this week. Or you might be talking a lot, and people are like telling you to be quiet and shut up, So forewarned, forearmed about that. But you're a very enthusiastic and potentially powerful communicator this week, Pisces. And that can be actually a good energy if you're a promoter of some sort or a salesperson. There might be lots of energy, enthusiasm about whatever it is you're talking about, any topic at all. Pluto is empowerment, even with a difficult aspect like this. So you might be talking very assertively, very powerfully, a strong presence now. That can be very good, but it can also be a bit overbearing at times. So be very conscious about that. You tend to, with Mars in the third house, have a lot more courageous self-talk and the ability to get things done because you have a courageous and, I would also suggest, empowered frame of mind with this combination. You know, you're thinking empowered, courageous thoughts. Now, be careful because this is a risk-taking energy. You might be thinking, have the self-talk of like, I'm going to, cut this corner because, I can get away with it. I've done it before. I can do it again. And then whatever corner you're cutting, in, not literally, in life, taking the shortcut, taking a risk, it backfires on you. But because you're thinking you're invincible, you try it on. Be very careful about that. Go about things, I would suggest, Pisces, as Saturnianly as possible. Dot your I's, cross your T's, follow the rules so that you don't, end up in trouble. So that is, your thinking can lead to risk-taking. You can also find that your thinking can lead to other negative Pluto-Mars behaviors like manipulating other people. You're manipulating people with your words, with your speech, trying to, wrap them around your little finger in some way. That's all well and good, but it's not exactly, above par or karma-free, let's say. Manipulating people with words. You might also find that this is a week where you are aggressive with your words, cutting with your words. Mars is to cut, very scathing. Just not thinking about what you're saying and how it's going to impact people. Now, travel and transportation are ruled by the third house. Vehicles in Vedic astrology are ruled by the fourth house, but the actual movement is a third house thing. Mars might make these things more fast in your life. You are moving faster or driving faster than usual, or you're just busy catching a tram here and a train there and a bus there, and it's so busy that your head is spinning. Mars speeds things up. Pluto is in the negative way empowering all of this. And I would just say, Pisces, please be careful this week when you're driving. Obey all the traffic signs and signals. Don't do any risk-taking when you're driving. Be very careful. Stick to the speed limit so you don't have an accident. This is also the house of your business, Pisces. If you run a business of your own, third house relates to that. Mars can make, any business activities fast and speedy and punchy. You can be very productive and get things done for your business, absolutely, but it mightn't be very thorough or detailed as needed. You can be a bit of an innovator this week, Pisces, and a bit of a go-getter with communication and social media. You will tend to initiate these things. So if you do have some marketing and advertising to do, it's actually good energy to help empower you to get it done. You'll be even a bit obsessive about it, a bit ambitious about what you hope to achieve from putting these things together, advertising, marketing, promotion, that kind of thing. If you are involved in any kind of journalism or blog writing or, that kind of thing, you might be doing a lot more of the short, fast travels now. So you might be, if you're a journalist, traveling from one spot to another and it's just busy. If you write blogs, you might be traveling for an article that you're writing for your blog or something like that. There's an energy of fastness, busyness, travel for third house occupations, and that can also include teaching and running workshops. You're doing a workshop and you just run out of time with what you're trying to communicate because the energy feels like it's speeded up. Time feels like it's speeded up. Okay, you'll be very enthusiastic and excited about learning new things yourself. This is very stimulating energy for the mind, so that it might even feel like you've got mental overdrive and it's hard to switch the mind off. You're thinking, you're finding solutions, you're being creative left, right and center, but it's just overwhelming you. It may even leave you with a bit of anxiety. To just make a confession, I've been suffering from anxiety a lot this year. And I am not looking forward to this transit for that reason, because I just don't need any more of that going on. So, you want to have some strategies, as I said in the introductory piece of this video, in place that can help calm the mind. Meditation, breath work, focused thinking, visualization, those sorts of things are kind of important to implement this week. It can also be very good to have a lot of change. Pluto is transformation. Mars is rapid. And the third house is movement. And it's an energy, of shifting around a bit. So lots of movement, lots of change can actually feel good this week and feel cathartic. It's also an energy of busyness. For example, you might be reading 4 books at once this week, or you might have, 5 or 6 web pages open all at once that you're working with. It's just like there's so much reading and activity and learning and busyness going on. Mars in the third house always likes to take a dominant position when working in groups. It does find it hard to cooperate. We have no patience for team activities or unmotivated group activities. We'd rather be on our own. We'd rather be independent. So you might get frustrated by that in some way, Pisces, this week. So you're going to want to learn, but you're going to be frustrated with workshops and stuff like that. It's a very progressive position to have Mars moving through the third house, but it can also bring a lot of impatience. Everything's busy, everything's fast, but it's not fast enough for you. You want it faster. You want to just get from A to B, A to Z without going through, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. You can be a lot more direct and straight up in your communication style this week, Pisces. Straight to the point, direct, saying it as it is, and that can, sometimes that can be good, but watch out for those biting words. You might also be a more impatient listener this week, Pisces. Just haven't got time to consider other people's BS. You're just too busy. Got things to do. Can't sit here and listen to you whine all day long. That's Mars through the third house as well. Now, Vedic astrology sees our daily environment from the third house. Western astrology sees that happening from the sixth house. But let's talk about the Vedic version here. There can be problems with people in your daily environment, aggression with people in your daily environment, neighbors, work colleagues, that kind of thing, siblings, co-workers, teammates, and so on. There can be aggression there, problems there, forewarned, forearmed. But our thinking processes, as I've said, are energized and busy. It can be hard to calm the mind down. I've given you some strategies around that. But also focused, detailed work can be helpful to calm the mind down, or honing in on a singular topic to read about can also be helpful too. There might be a bit of a competitive environment around you at this time, because the third house represents our daily surroundings. So you might feel like there's a lot of competition in your life at this time. It is also the house of self-made wealth. It's the second house from the second, which makes it that. And Mars for a Pisces person is their indicator, or their yogic planetary significator of prosperity and wealth for a Pisces person. So for some Pisces people, this might mean that you are more self-driven to create financial success, and you may find, even though there's obstacles, Pluto square, you might find solutions and opportunities for you to do so. Mars here is very entrepreneurial for the next month or so that he's here, and you'll have a lot of energy for any entrepreneurial activities. So that's really what I've got to share for our Pisces people. But I do want to say talk to you about our Egypt tour. We have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to this incredible ancient land with us this November. So looking forward to it. If you would like to join David Warner Matheson, my husband, and Patricia Alwan Lehman and myself, you have until the last week in June to book in with us. The link's in the description below. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places, and they actually require us to give advanced booking of numbers. So we need to know by the end of June. Get in now. Don't miss out. This is going to be the trip of a lifetime, my friends. Thank you, Pisces. Moving to Aquarius rising, Aquarius sun and Aquarius moon, people. The energy of Mars and Pluto square is going to be felt in your 4th house. This is where things might be slow to manifest, but long to last. And they're difficult things with a square between these two. I just need to forewarn you and forearm you about that. This is happening on the 11th of June at 1 degree of Taurus. If you have anything significant around 1 degree of Taurus, you will notice this more than ever. Now, Mars is an energy of wanting to get out and do, conquer the world. But the 4th house is kind of the opposite energy of this. It wants to be home. It wants safety, security. Home is our sanctuary. So when Mars transits here, we might feel a little bit restricted and constrained. We want to get out and about, but we don't have the opportunity to. We're blocked from doing so. We have to stay home. That's one of the difficulties that this position can bring. It can also make us very defensive emotionally. You know, we're on the rebound all the time, like, why'd you say that? And, you know, how come you're saying that about me, or whatever. Emotionally, we're triggered very, very easily with this combination. Forewarned about that. It can make us not necessarily sensitized emotionally, but we become, what's the word I'm trying to look for here? More aggressive emotionally, manipulative on an emotional level. We're trying to tweak other people's emotions, you know, or maybe we're pushing people's buttons and we're trying to, you know, get a rise out of them as well. Not that good, my friends, not that good. We might have more arguments, Mars's arguments in our domestic environment this week. Remember, it only lasts a week, roughly. But the repercussions can go on, especially if you're going to hold a grudge. Taurus energy is very much connected to grudge holding when Mars triggers things in the Taurus realm of the chart. In the best case scenario, and there is a good side to this, there might be a lot of positive martial energy in your home environment. Lots of young people around, young men coming in and out. And I've got 2 boys, you know, I'm not an Aquarius rising, but, you know, I've got 2 teenage boys, and they've got might have their friends around all week long, and just busy in and out in the home environment with masculine energy, Mars energy. There might be more of an enthusiasm this coming week for working in the home, fixing problems in the home, transforming the home, renovating the home. Because Pluto is to renovate, Mars is to work with tools, and it's energy and enthusiasm in the house of the home, the astrological house of the home. So lots of busyness, lots of that sort of thing going on. My suggestion, though, is be very careful to be safe. You know, no climbing up on the roof and, you know, doing a song and dance while you're up there. You'll fall off. No, it's much more of be cautious, be careful, put the appropriate safety mechanisms in place for any work you're doing around the home. This is a combination for accidents, and you might also experience some kind of, or accidents in the home, I should say, and you might also potentially experience some sort of frustration that might be present because of a renovation. You know, for example, you're getting the bathroom done and the builder comes in and, you know, they discover problem after problem after problem. And you're just forking out money left, right, and center, you know. Renovation is represented by Mars, Pluto, you know, aspect in the 4th house. But the problem comes from the fact that it's a square. There's difficulties. There's irritation that comes because of this. It's not just a walk in the park. So again, prepared for that, forewarned, forearmed. Mars in the 4th house with a square to Pluto might be bringing a lot of change in the home environment. Some people might be changing homes, but it'll usually be because there's a problem. Oh my goodness, the laundry's flooded for some reason. Now we've got to go and live in a motel for the next week while the insurers, you know, deal with the issue. Not that this is related to flooding, I've got to say. I just pulled that out of the top of my head. Usually Neptune here would be more inclined to bring some sort of flooding incident like that. But there might be a reason that you've got to change homes or live somewhere else for the week. There's a lot of shifting and transformation with this energy in a difficult way. Now, I'm not meaning to scare anybody. Life goes on, you know, but this is a hard aspect, of course. You might have in the positive a lot of energy to put into your home and the things you do in the home, like playing with children. You might be very energetic about you doing your renovations or gardening or farming, cooking. You might have to put a lot of energy, even though you don't want to, into something to do with the house. Maybe you're moving home and you've got to pack things up and it's stressful and tiring and heavy energy. That's something that just needs to be pushed through this week. Your parents are generally seen from the fourth house as well. And you might see your parents being more Mars-Pluto square-like. Yes, they might be, courageous, or they might be taking crazy risks. And you're like, oh, what were you thinking, Mum? Your parents might be more feisty, more argumentative. They might be fighting with each other, or they might be fighting with you. You might find that your parents are in some sort of competitive situation. They may be playing a lot of sports and lots of competition going up. There might be accidents that they're prone to this week. So reach out to your parents, check in on them, make sure they're doing okay. Mars is actually a warrior energy in its most empowered state. You might be very protective of your family this week for some reason or another. Maybe somebody is abusing you, attacking you. That's Pluto energy. And you're like, I'm going to protect my family. I'm going to defend my family from that stupid teacher who's causing my kid so much trouble at school. It can be that kind of energy of I'm going to be the defender. It can also be that you're feeling very patriotic about your country or your town or your state that you live in as well. And very wanting to protect the lifestyle that you have there for some reason or another. It might feel like it's under threat and you're going to want to be more protective. I mentioned having accidents in the home. Mars rules fire, so check your fireplace. Mars rules sharp implements, check your kitchen knives. And Mars rules machinery, so any machinery, check that it's safe and functioning properly, especially in the lead up to this energy on the 11th of June. We can be empowered. Pluto energy doesn't necessarily mean things are gone to shit, but we can be very empowered, Pluto energy, with anything connected to property, fourth house, and Mars is the ancient ruler of property. So property sales, real estate, renovating, as I've already talked about, but buying and selling, even conducting hospitality from home. Maybe you've got a business that's, making wedding cakes or something and you do it from home. Some sort of hospitality industry from home can be seen from here as well, or if you run a restaurant and that kind of thing too. But because there's a square from Pluto, yes, you might be very empowered to have success ultimately with these things, but the Pluto square might be causing problems first. You've got to push through all miles of paperwork, or there's obstructions with getting the loan for the sale of your property or the purchase of a piece of real estate or something like that. There just seems to be blockage and obstacles and restriction, which is the nature of a square aspect. Okay, so just to let you know. And one of the more negative aspects that you might want to avoid, and I'll tell you how you can avoid it in a minute, is I've talked about accidents in the home, but criminals in the home. Mars, Pluto square, criminals, somebody stealing something from your home. What can you do about that? How can you deal with it? Well, there's a very lovely trick that you might like to employ that can help you get through this transit with greater ease, and that's to buy a couple of cactuses. Pluto rules cactuses. Mars rules anything sharp, so it has to be a cactus with a sharp point on it in some way. Little cactus in a pot, put it in your kitchen, on the windowsill, put it anywhere you like, really, in your house. And then you're going to be directing the Pluto-Mars energy into something more positive in this way, and all the negative things are going to be less likely to manifest, accidents, criminals, blah, blah, blah. No, what will happen instead is that you will have a little cactus doing his thing, channeling Pluto-Mars energy in a positive way. That's your antidote right there. Now, Mars also represents to break or cut something. There might even be somebody in your family, your heritage, your roots, your lineage, who is breaking away from the pattern of the family, leaving the family lineage in some manner. That can happen with this combination as well for some people. Mars needs space. It doesn't want to be, cramped up and claustrophobic. So You might need to have your own bedroom for the week ahead. Maybe you're sharing a bedroom in some way with a partner, or if a kid, you're sharing a room or something. Mars needs space. You might just need to have some time out to yourself. Have a man cave or a library or a she shed or something like that. Sewing room. If you can sort of designate an area of your home just for you to have your own private space, you'll feel so much better under this transit too. Watch out for inflammation because Mars rules inflammation of the stomach or the breasts, which are ruled by the fourth house as well. And this can result from sort of blocking or stuffing down your emotions. So resolve any conflicts. I mean, it's a difficult week to resolve conflicts, but it is actually a worthwhile thing to try to do because that can help, clear the air, so to speak. Now, my beautiful Aquarius friends, we are having a tour to ancient Egypt in November. We have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to this incredible ancient land with us. And if you would like to join us, you've seen my videos about this tour and what we're going to do and what it's going to be all about. You actually have until the last week in June to book in with us. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places. Not everybody gets this. This is exclusive to our group. And it does require advance booking for these sites. So get in now. You have until the end of June. Don't miss out on this incredible tour. All right. Thank you, Aquarius. Now, Capricorn friends, Mars is going to be transiting through your fifth house this week. And it's going to, on the 11th of June, it's going to be squaring Pluto at the first degree of Aquarius, and Mars will be in Taurus. And you'll feel this in your fifth house. Things that'll happen this week might come in slowly, but they will last for a long time, and usually of a more difficult variety with this combination too. And I just have to say, this is a sexual house, the fifth house, and it can mean that sexually things are very exciting for you, but this is a house of dating and romance and falling in love. And this energy is no good for that sort of thing. You need to be very careful if you're dating, especially if you meet somebody new. They may turn out to be a very cruel person. And if you're going on dates, especially blind dates or dates with somebody you've met on the internet or something, it's quite a dangerous thing to do this week because this energy can bring about violence, okay? So I'm just sharing that for all my beloved single people out there, people who are just getting into relationships. Please be careful with this energy this week. Now, this is an energy, Mars in the fifth house, of being impulsive and taking risks romantically. Be careful of that. Remember what I've been telling you. It's also an energy of passion. So if you're in a loving relationship, you might be like sexually experimentative or having a lot of excitement in the bedroom, in romance, in your relationship in a positive way. It's just if you're out there looking for love, it's much more difficult. Now, you'll have a lot of energy to put into a sex life if you've got one, and that can be great, or a romantic life. It doesn't necessarily increase your romantic opportunities. As I've said, it's dangerous for that, actually. But you will be more hungry for romance and love. And because you're hungry for it, you're more willing to take a risk to get it. So please keep my words in mind. Don't get yourself in a difficult situation. Now, Capricorn Mars is the ruler of sports and physical movement. And here in the house of sports, you're probably going to want to take up some sort of new physically active hobby. Just be careful you don't overextend yourself. Remember, there is a square aspect to Pluto. You're wanting to change your sports activities or physical agenda, and you overdo it and you sprain a muscle. Pluto to Mars, which rules muscles in the house of sports. So be very, very careful about overdoing things. You might want to take up a new hobby. Fifth house is hobbies. Hobbies that are connected with fire or knives, cooking with hot stuff like, chili peppers or something. I've already said knives, or you might have a hobby to do with war or something to do with speed, interest in looking at, battle history or something, or an interest in, the Formula won Grand Prix for the first time in your life kind of thing. There's a development of interest in that regard, maybe even a passion for those things, maybe even an obsession. Pluto is making a square aspect. Be careful with those obsessions around Mars-based things because it could drive everybody up the wall, But you do have a lot of energy to put into those creative endeavors and activities. Now, if you are a performer, Capricorn, if as an amateur or as a professional, either way, if you get up in front of other people, that's a fifth house thing. You'll have a lot more enthusiasm and energy for your performance craft, and you might enjoy using your physical body to do so. But there might even be some issues and problems around that. Let's say you're the lead role in the town musical or something like that, and you're out there tripping the boards and twist an ankle. Pluto to Mars is accidents, and that's going to cause some issues around your ability to perform. So I'm not saying this is going to block your performance or stuff your performance up, but there might be an obstacle to overcome. A square aspect provides obstacles and restrictions. So you'll have a lot of energy for your craft, just don't overdo it and think you can take on more than you're capable of. You're trying to do some dance like your Donald O'Connor in Singing in the Rain, climbing up walls and whatever, and you land flat on your face. Not good. Accidents connected to performance. So be careful. Forewarned, forearmed here. You will feel very protective. The Mars energy in its best expression is the warrior, and that might be getting empowered in you with this aspect to Pluto. You'll want to be very protective of your children during this time. You might even be very defensive of your creativity. So what might that look like? Well, it's good to be protective of our children up to a point. Helicopter parenting doesn't, necessarily give our children the best opportunities to develop self-confidence in the world, in their place in the world. So forearmed about that. Perhaps we might be being really protective and overbearing and suffocating of our teenage children, and they're like, Mum, I just want to, break out of here. Mars represents to break with something. So through being too protective, remember, there's an obsessive nature going on here with Pluto square. You might be thinking you're being a really good parent and, overbearing, overprotective, and your children want to break away. They might rebel. Mars used to rule rebellion before we discovered Uranus. So this is the house of children. Watch what you're doing, Capricorn people, and how it is affecting your children and the relationship you have with your children. Sometimes, quite honestly, we can be very deluded about how many boundaries we put on our children. Children are much more capable than we give them credit for. Dave and I talk about this all the time, and I'm quite interested in child raising because Jupiter rules children. I have Jupiter in my first house, and I think about it a lot. But we in this day and age, we mollycoddle our children for so long. I mean, it's hard for children to break out and go and develop their own lives because financially we live in a screwed up system that doesn't facilitate that happening anymore. It really sucks. But back in, 80 years ago, 100 years ago, children would be out on their own, making a living, going, learning life skills and practical application at age 14. They'd be out there doing life. And I'm sorry I'm on my bandwagon here, but I've seen so many young boys particularly who by the time they're 17 are frustrated up to the eyeballs with having to be treated like a child in our system instead of being the independent, capable young men that they have been for a couple of years. They're really in many ways holding particularly men back from being able to get out there in the world and do their thing and make their mark and use their youth and vitality to their advantage. And we hold them back in school, and unfortunately they're held back economically these days because of our Western environment that's so ridiculous. Thank you for letting me be on my bandwagon about that one. So I would suggest, Capricorn, look at the influence that you're being on your children, what restrictions are on your children now, and seek to maybe release a couple of boundaries where possible, give a little bit of wiggle room where you can, to sort of love your children as best you can. Pluto is very obsessive. Pluto can be very smothering in a square aspect to the house of children, okay, for warned, for armed. But wherever Mars goes represents motivation. So if you need some motivation this week, then try and create a little pleasure in the life of your children, or romance in the life of a partner. You'll be motivated by getting involved in some sort of entertainment, or enjoying some sort of entertainment or performance, dance, or more energetic hobbies and sports. This is the week for it. If you're careful, if you don't overdo it, if you don't go to extremes, then these things can be very healthful for you to channel this energy in positive ways. So thank you, my Capricorn friends. I want to mention about our tour to Egypt. We have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to this incredible ancient land with us this November. If you've seen my videos about this, and if you would like to join us, you actually have until the last week in June to book in. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places. Really rare opportunity. And those access bookings require advance booking. So we need to organize numbers before the end of June. So you need to get in now. Don't miss out. This is the trip of a lifetime. Thank you, Capricorn. Moving along. Sagittarius rising, Sagittarius sun, or Sagittarius moon. Well, the energy of Pluto in a square aspect with Mars at 1 degree of Taurus, or 1 degree of Aquarius, where Pluto is happening on the 11th of June. And this is where things might be slow to manifest, but long to last. Okay. Believe it or not, this placement of Mars in the 6th house can actually be a positive. When we have a planet like this, which is a malefic planet in a malefic house, they cancel the malefic nature of the house and the planet out. Especially if we have Mars in a strongly positioned sign, or a good dignity, and Mars isn't, it's not exalted in Taurus, but it does okay. It's not smashed in Taurus. So this can be a placement for winning over difficulty. So Pluto can actually empower Mars to win over a difficulty now, Sagittarius. Trouble is, it might be a win that comes with a bit of difficulty getting there first. What we've got is the house of conflict in a combination with the planet of conflict. And in ancient astrology, these two negatives make for a positive result, as I said, but probably with some stress or difficulty getting there first. You will resolve it, possibly in the next week, but it may require a bit of endurance first. Okay, so the combo of these two difficult signatures, house and planet, can deal with things a bit more successfully than, say, if we had a soft planet like Venus here in a square to Pluto. So there's positivity here. Mars really brings the energy that we need, and Pluto brings the empowerment and the invigoration to heal conflict, diseases, deal with a divorce situation or a court case. We might find that the court case is ultra frustrating, or the divorce causes us to tear our hair out. But we have the fighting spirit and the empowered fighting spirit, Sagittarius, to get to the end of it. You know what I'm saying? Mars here in a difficult aspect with Pluto can actually increase the amount of enemies that we're battling with and dealing with. Unfortunately, it might increase the amount of court cases, or the intensity of a court case or a confrontation. But like I've just said, it does give the energy and the power and the fighting spirit to overcome and triumph over the adversity. So that might not be what everybody wants to hear because it's challenging, but good to know that the potential to win is also there. You can overcome also through your logical thinking, and through maybe confronting a situation, calling somebody out. Just the one thing to be careful of is that, in calling someone out, you use biting, cutting words. There's no need for that. The energy is on your side to be a winner without having to resort to ruthlessness, violence, aggression towards other people. Keep your integrity high, Sagittarius, and you can, carry good karma for the future, plus come out on top as a winner. You can overcome through logical thinking and through acting above all like meanness, pettiness, violence, etc. Not an easy position, this one, but it will give you the upper hand. This is also the house, if we are an employer, of our employees. So you might find that there might be some stresses that arise this week with your subordinates or your employees. They might be trying to manipulate you. Pluto square here. They might be trying to manipulate you. They might be being a bit ruthless with you and holding you over a barrel in some way. So forewarned, forearmed here with that. There can be conflict and challenges from your employees and from subordinates. But again, you have the ability to come out on top with this as well, because Mars, the winner in the house of problems, is a perfect combo. Remember though, forgiveness is a very important process at this time. Being able to forgive actually empowers you in the long term. Now, there might be an individual that's creating some sort of conflict in your life. Could be an ex-partner, could be, an old work employee or a work colleague or something like that. Keep your consciousness. I mean, this is an energy of rushing in and, doing something or saying something and then regretting it later, that sort of energy where we're taking a risk with how we're interacting in a difficult position, in a conflict position. This is the kind of energy, for example, like you pulled up at the traffic lights and somebody does something stupid and you give them the bird, and then without thinking, without even stopping for a second, and then that person's out of the car, raced over to your car, pulling you out of the front seat and beating you up. This is that sort of energy of enemies that happen through just you taking some, silly, careless, thoughtless, finger up at them that leads to a trouble and a problem, okay? Ultimately, in a situation, the scenario I've just given you, you could end up the winner in the long run because you take them to court and you sue them for everything they're worth, You might be the winner, but you've got to be a fighter to get there. That might happen, but, it's difficulty to go through first, like I said. So if you work, though, in a conflict-prone career where you're butting heads with people all the time, legal work, police work, town planning, if you're a conflict manager, that kind of thing, if you're trying to negotiate and mediate divorce clients and stuff like that, if you're an activist, political activist, environmental activist, animal activist, any situation that requires you to be in a state of conflict or where you have to be the warrior, you can actually have a level of empowerment in that situation now. Yes, the problems will be intense, Pluto square, but Pluto empowers Mars to take it on, to grapple it with it, to fight it out. So what I'm getting here is that the fight that you might be in or that you've been dealing with is coming to an end, Sagittarius, but it could intensify before it concludes. You might be fighting for social justice and equality. You might be fighting for, your rights in a certain situation financially or health-wise. You might be fighting to get, your diagnosis from the right person, trying to get somebody who'll listen to what you're going through and acknowledge the problems that you've got. But you have what it takes to fight and get a victory in the end. Animals, now there's two places that we see pets through, one in Vedic is actually the 4th house, and in Western astrology it's through here, the 6th house. Be careful of your domestic pets because they might be a bit aggressive this week. Crankier than usual, so to speak. And if your pet's a bit naturally inclined to be a bit, feisty, put some protection mechanisms in place. If you need to keep your dog out in the backyard rather than coming in the house for the week, so be it. Better than that he bites somebody and cause, problems that way. Animals can be a little bit more aggressive. Then, it's also a really good time actually for utilizing any mechanical abilities that you have in the service of mankind. You can be empowered to do so. If you're fixing a problem, through your engineering capacity or mechanical ability, like I said. If you're fixing a problem in society, this is a time of great empowerment for utilizing, an invention or an engineering concept that you've got. You'll be more energized this week, Sagittarius, and you'll be very mobilized by injustice this week. You'll be wanting and enthused, maybe even a little bit obsessed, to fight injustice, to fight disease, to fight debt in the world out there, the poverty, the stupid economic system that we've got going on that's so debilitating for people. You'll be fighting criticism. I'm sure many of you saw the really rude comment that was left on one of my videos last week. And I chose to leave it up there just as an example of the kind of idiots that I get criticism from. And, you might come across a comment like that on either one of my videos or another video online or something like that, and you will be mobilized and energized to step in and have a say. How dare you talk to that person that way? This is not, you're free for all, blah, blah, blah. And you can be defensive and act in a role as a defender and a warrior over some piece of criticism, either of someone else or of yourself. You'll be more inclined to fight back if somebody criticizes you this week. This can actually, like I said, it can energize you and mobilize you. It might even sort of get you out of a feeling of stuckness. I know many YouTubers choose not to engage with dickheads who leave shit comments on their site. And most of the time I try not to as well. It's, a healthy approach. But this week, you might be mobilized, like I said, to engage with that. And that will really shake you out of a energetic state. Maybe a difficult energetic state. So it's actually, what am I saying here? It's actually can be empowering to take something like that on this week, to take on some debt, to take on some conflict, to take on some criticism. But just know, Pluto is empowering. It can be empowering, and Mars does well in the 6th house. Mars is a fighter. Just know that if you do, you might be opening Pandora's box a bit, okay? You've got to be prepared to deal with that, because a square aspect can cause more restriction, more blockage, more frustration to open up before the victory comes, okay? So you got to be, like I gave you the illustration of somebody at the traffic lights being a real jerk. That can happen online. It can happen anywhere there's conflict. So, think twice. Don't rush in. Don't take a risk. Be calculated. Mars is to be a strategist. Use that energy of Mars. Be calculated about how you deal with conflict and difficulties and problems and imbalance. And you might actually be able to make a difference. Now, I'll just conclude, Sagittarius, by saying it's important this week to have a good physical routine, particularly focusing on your muscles. Just don't overdo it. Pluto can cause accidents in a square to Mars. So, don't go down to the gym thinking that you can lift 3 times your weight. Be realistic, be cautious, do your stretches before you do your routine. Take care of your muscles. Use the hot, cold, whatever it is that you need to warm them up and cool them down. Watch out for inflammation of the muscles. Watch out for inflammation of everything, basically, in the house of health and well-being. Blood problems, cuts, bruises, injuries, accidents, you may be more likely to experience this. Look, I have Mars in the 6th house natally. And as a child, oh my God, I just bruised if anybody looked at me, let alone touched me. I was so prone to bruising. And that comes very strongly from Mars being in the 6th house. So if you do this week, cut yourself, bruise yourself, whatever, just know, hey, this is just Mars, Pluto being exacerbated energy in my 6th house of health and well-being. Now, Sagittarius, I know you love to travel. Myself, David Warner Matheson, and Patricia Awan Lehman are conducting a tour to Egypt this November. We have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to this incredible ancient land with us in November. And if you would like to join us, you have until the last week of June to do so. The link's in the description below if you want to find out more about it. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred ancient places, but they require advanced booking. So we have until the we have until the end of June to get our numbers together. So get in now and don't miss out on this amazing tour. Thank you, Saggy. Now Scorpio rising, Scorpio sun and Scorpio moon. People, well, you are ruled, Scorpio, by Mars. So this energy will feel very strongly for you. In fact, your first house lord is in the 7th house, being squared by a nasty energy of Pluto in this case. So Scorpio, I just need to say right from the get-go, and this is happening on the 11th of June at 1 degree of Taurus. You're going to, if you've got things there, you're going to feel it. This is an energy of sexual violence. Okay, Pluto square Mars in the house of our sexual partnerships. Be careful, be careful. It's a sexually excited energy. So if you're in a loving marriage, it could, see you doing something, very unusual that you wouldn't usually do, or you might be transformed by sex. Doing sex magic might have a very profound effect. That can be channeled for the greater good, let's hope, in a loving relationship. But if you're dating and looking for a committed partnership, this is not a good energy. Please be careful, Scorpio. Particularly in your chart manifesting in the 7th house. Partners can be cruel under this energy. You might find that partners, particularly potential marriage partners or dating partners that you meet under this energy, might be even violent. So try and, resist the temptation, if you like, to go out on dates or meeting potential lovers, potential partners for the next week. And avoid this energy where you can, for your own good, I'll just say. This is the house of other people. And Mars square to Pluto here can bring confrontation in relationships. So even if you are in a loving partnership, there might be something comes up where you're angry with one another. You have a fight with one another. You might take a risk and say something really cutting and horrible to your partner, and then you're acting without thinking, and then, oh my God, you regret it like anything later. Anger clashes, power struggles, people are pushing our buttons. Ordinarily we're madly in love with our wife this week. Oh, wish you'd just leave me alone, can't stand it. We have confrontation with others, particularly our significant other. Now, not only that, Scorpio, but it could be a business partner. We will be clashing heads potentially with our accountant or with our marketing advisor. We're just frustrated with them, had it up to the eyeballs. Pluto square to Mars in the 7th house of contractual partnerships. You are unlikely, though, in the good news, I suppose, Scorpio, you're unlikely to be the one instigating this. It's usually the business partner or the marriage partner that's going to be the cause, because this is expressing in their life. They're going to be the one who's attacking you and saying, you stupid, blah, blah, blah. That's not your fault necessarily, or maybe you did do something stupid and they're getting cranky for good reason, but they're going to be the one bringing up the issue and instigating the frustration and the aggression towards you. Forewarned, forearmed about that. Business partners are going to be the ones trying to manipulate you, to coerce you. They might be, behaving in an obsessive manner, and it's driving you crazy. So what else can we say about this? Well, you can attract passion and enthusiasm with partners, as I've said, relationally, but you can also attract enthusiastic business partners too. Now, I wouldn't be signing any business contracts or any contracts at all under this energy for the next week if you can help it. I mean, you might work in a situation where contracts are just part of everyday life, and that's okay. Don't worry about it. But anything of a significant personal nature, try and hold off on signing under this energy. It's not fun. It's very fractious, and, any contract signed now will ultimately be the cause of fighting and disintegration in the future between you and the other party. Better to put your energy into fighting for others. How can I fight for my wife? How can I fight for my husband? How can I fight for our business to make it more successful? How can I fight on behalf of my accountant or my marketing advisor or whatever. If you can fight for another person, that's the best way you can use this energy. Many people are going to be unafraid to create confrontation now. You're going to step into it. Pluto square to Mars, like I said, your partners will create it. And it's going to create some tension. It's going to create some animosity. This is particularly true for marriage partners because Pluto's coming from the house of home, family, domestic life. So the confrontation created by a marriage partner is going to cause awkwardness in the home, coldness, difficulty, frustration in the home and domestic environment. So just be conscious of that expressing. You might travel more for business over the next week as well. This is a business house, the 7th house, and you might be needing to, you're like, I'm sick to death of this fraught home environment. I'm going to actually go and travel and go and attend this conference, and get out of this environment, so that might be happening. But the instinct to fight with others needs some sort of acceptable outlet this week. You're best to direct it into career rather than a personal relationship. Don't get competitive with your spouse, get competitive in your career or your business instead. Direct any heatedness or enthusiasm into your career, and then it won't affect what is actually more meaningful and important, which is your personal collaboration in life. Give each other space. If you need to take a business trip just to catch your breath, do it. You might even want separate bedrooms this week. You might, spend time on your own in independent pursuits. And that's actually a good thing to do. Mars is a very autonomous planet. And rather than creating more tension and frustration, time out is a really sensible approach. So do it if you need it. It will be a wise choice. Now, Mars in the 7th house, in a energized combination with Pluto, can see your partners become more Mars-like. We've talked about the anger and aggression and manipulation and all the yucky stuff, but they might become more interested in enhancing their physical prowess, building their muscles, developing their sportsmanship. They might become more sexual. So you might find that your partner is, wanting to go have a hit of tennis with you or something like that. You might find that your partner's wanting to go to the bedroom, 4 or 5 times a day or something like that. They're more passionate. They're more sexually heightened and tuned up, even almost to a point of obsession because of Pluto here. Hang on to your hat if you got that going on. There's also a high value on physical contact at this time. Now, maybe natally your partner doesn't have indications for wanting to be very physical, but this week maybe you could try on a little bit of more tactile approach. Although generally speaking, with Scorpio people, you've got Taurus in the 7th house, you have got tactile partners more often than not. Other people, 7th house energy, and they can be our motivating force with this placement. Other people trigger our action. Somebody criticizes us, criticism, Mars, 7th house, it causes us to respond. We're going to lose weight. Somebody says, you're stupid, we're going to study hard. Somebody says, you're useless at this career, we're like, that's it, I'm going to work so hard I get a promotion. So you can use this to empower yourself for the good. And especially if you've got a rising degree at 1 degree, this is actually making a T-square with your rising degree. And it can really motivate you to enhance your career, for example, which is the dead space there in that T-square. But it can motivate you in almost every area as well. So that can be a positive manifestation that comes out of the friction that this builds. Good manifestations of this can be where a marriage partner or a business partner spurs us on to greater success through a positive drive or a competition rather than criticism. And just to conclude, Mars rules youthful masculine energy, and you might be encountering more youthful men in relational situations. You go to get a new accountant, it's a young man. You go to get a new marketing executive for your business, it's a young man. You go to partner in mixed tennis, it's going to be a young man. The energy of Mars puts young men as your potential partners in various circumstances in life in your sphere. If you're feeling a bit unenergized this week, and remember we did talk about the Sun-Saturn square that's causing that, it might be a good idea to find a young man and spend time with them in some way. Exercise together, do a project together, travel together. Not just go out and find some rando young man. I'm talking about, maybe if you've got a son, go and spend time with your son. Maybe if you've got a really good friend or a cousin or something like that, go spend time with a young man. It'll help you find your zest again if you've been sort of lackluster. Now, just to conclude, Scorpio, we have a beautiful group of people traveling to Egypt with David Warner Matheson, Patricia R1 Lehman and myself this November. And if you would like to join us in traveling to this incredible ancient land, you have until the last week of June to book in to do so. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places with this tour, and they require advance booking. So get in now. Don't miss out. We'd love to have you join us as we travel through Egypt. Moving along, thank you, Scorpio. Okay, Libra rising, Libra sun, Libra moon, people. Well, Mars is just moved into your 8th house, Libra, and he's now being squared on the 11th of June at 1 degree of Taurus by Pluto. So there's a square, and it's exhibiting through the 8th house because Mars is the faster moving planet. Things that happen now, in Taurus, we would usually say would be slow to manifest but long to last, although this is the fastest house in the horoscope. Sudden 180-degree turns around, Libra. This could be quite an interesting time for you. It can bring things that are more long-lasting, and things may not be as slow to manifest as they would be for other people this week, because this is a very speedy, fast house, but it will bring long-lasting, enduring change. Also, I would just say, Libra, this is a very sexual energy, but it's almost a cruel and violent sexual energy. So, Libra, in the bedroom, be very careful. Don't use sharp implements this week in the bedroom. Any sort of kinky, sort of violently oriented sex, try and avoid, because this is dangerous energy. Mars square Pluto is accidents, cutting ourselves, causing, problems, violence that leads to, wounding. Mars is wounds here in the house of sexual activity. So please be careful about that sort of thing. And I'll just say, just for posterity, if you're dating and single and you're out there meeting people, try and avoid, any kind of sexual interaction with anybody this week. Hold off, cool your heels for a bit, because this is a very dangerous energy to tango with. And I want all my viewers to be safe, cared for and nurtured, not put in difficult, compromising positions. Well, the 8th house is all about passageways, It's about the doorways to different expressions of life, different dimensions, like going from marriage to divorce, going through a crisis to be rebirthed into your own springtime. Even doorways to like literal other dimensions, other realms are seen through the 8th house. So Mars here in an empowered aspect with Pluto can speed up our process of going from one stage to another. So big life transformations happen extra quick now. I've already mentioned that, but I just want to illustrate why. Our movement through the passage of change just goes so fast, we are left reeling and spinning. Now, that could be many things. Maybe you're in the middle of a divorce and marriage is ending and it's taking forever. Then you hit this transit and boom, within a day it's all done and dusted. You're like, my God, how did that happen? So there is an energy, and sometimes that can be good for speeding up the change, speeding up the shift in some way. In fact, crisis, which is an 8th house thing, can really mobilize us now and can cause us to sort of, stand our ground like a warrior and fight. Crisis is 8th house, Mars is the warrior, Pluto is transforming and empowering us doing that, but usually it's through that difficult crisis situation, okay? So that you might be encountering this week Libra, some sort of extreme situations, an extreme change, but it's going to make you fearless and warrior-like. Just don't rush in and do anything silly. Don't take any risks that are going to lead to danger. You just got to be so careful of that now. Now, the 8th house also rules therapeutic and psychological healing. It's, I wouldn't say it's the best energy to be interacting with healing professionals, psychologists, counselors, and certainly not surgeons. Under this energy, this is not an energy to go see a shaman or a surgeon or that sort of thing. So, I would say steer clear of the therapy and the psychological healing now. It's going to be too confronting, too traumatic, and may not result in the outcome that you would actually like or hope for. Okay, so cool your heels about that sort of thing this week too. But undertaking some sort of personal healing, if you're doing healing for yourself, reading a self-help book, reading a psychology book, studying astrology, those sorts of things, you might find that the awakening or enlightenment that you are seeking comes into you very fast here, very, very quickly. So, this is an energy for having that sort of aha epiphanies and releasing very quickly Pluto entanglements, Pluto darkness out of your life. But it's like, for those of you who are women who've had children and know that, if you deliver a baby too fast, too quickly, it can make you quite ill and it can leave you going into a state of shock. Things need to be gone through in their right and proper process. So that's what we're feeling into here. There's a releasing of maybe past life trauma and that sort of thing that can happen, but it happens almost too fast that it can cause more difficulty or more wounding. Okay, so forewarned about that. Now, some of you, this is a house of shamanic practice, and it is also the house of sex. Pluto square to Mars can represent sexual interaction, and I want to say that sex magic or shamanic sex work can be very powerful while Mars moves through this house. But the square aspect to Pluto, please be careful. I've talked about this being, the gateway to other dimensions. If you are going to do that sort of thing, you've got to be so careful of creating other dimensional problems or encountering other dimensional entities or spirits that you don't want in your life. You do not want to awaken that energy. So if you're into shamanic sex work and that kind of thing, this week could mean that it's very empowered for you, but it's far too dangerous, I would say, Libra, to enter into. I would not be confident doing that sort of thing this week at all. The veils can be very thin in the sexual realm, and you don't want to trigger any dangerous interactions with other entities in that regard. Okay, so you might be a little bit prone to some sort of big reversal this week. Prone to, some sort of accident this week. So again, just be careful where you go, what you do, who you interact with, what you say. Consciousness and clarity and awareness is really key here. This is also an energy that could see a massive transformation of your identity occur here. I'm trying to think of a positive way this could express, but for example, if you're married, you identify as a married woman or a married man, and then you go through a change and a divorce, and suddenly your identity is that of a divorced man or a woman rather than a married man or a woman. So we could see sudden transformations of identity in some way occur here. You could support this transition, though, by diving into doing a deep, almost obsessive dive, Pluto square, into studying the occult, pursuing, Mars is to pursue things, some sort of hidden secret information, studying, the history of crime families, studying mysticism, studying astrology, come join me at the Royal Stars Academy. That can sort of alleviate, Libra, some of the more challenging things I've spoken about here. You're directing the energy into something of a more positive nature. Okay, so any changes are going to happen quickly. It can be like pulling the band-aid off, and once the change manifests, you're going to feel a sense of relief, which is really good. Now, this house is all about other people's money and working with other people's money. There may be, and of course in a Libra chart too, Mars actually rules the house of your money, and here it's in the house of other people's money. So there's some sort of tango that's going on with other people's money and your money. And maybe there might be some fights and some arguments caused, Libra, about, how you're using money. Or you're spending all my money, or I'm spending all my money on you. There might be fights with a partner about mutual resources. There might be fights with people about inheritances and who gets what. I'm a Libra moon. I need to be careful this week. I'm going up to my family farm. We're in the final weeks of packing up everything on the farm so my parents can move into their new home in town and leave the farm. Very sad time. But, naturally all the grandkids are putting up their hands saying, I want this and I want that. And can I have this, Grandma? Want to be very careful about getting into arguments with, people about who gets what and who gets to take that bit of furniture and so on and so on. Mars is a winner, Libra, and you'll tend to have a lot of capacity to fight and win what you want, but at what cost with Pluto square here? At the destruction of a relationship with somebody, or the falling out with somebody, the cutting of ties with somebody, way up, is it worth it, for that resource, that materiality, that money, that thing that you want. The 8th house rules hidden enemies. And Mars is to attack, so you might be getting attacked by, things that you're not even aware of, hidden enemies, people coming out of the woodwork, so to speak. But remember, Mars is always a winner. Mars is the victor once again. Pluto will empower this, but it might be really uncomfortable for a while. Pluto square to Mars makes it very not nice, okay? So forewarned, forearmed. 8th house can actually represent addiction that's caused by compulsive, obsessive entities attaching to our system. It's a difficult placement. So again, watch out. Don't do that sex magic. Like I said, Mars here, in the good sense, and there is a positive sense to this, Mars can cause you to fight those things now. If you are suffering from an addiction, or some entity that's attaching to your system, you can fight now, and you can potentially be empowered to overcome. Mars is the victor while he's here. But Libra, that fight is empowered by Pluto, but it's going to come with a lot of, argy-bargy, a lot of challenges, a lot of frustrations along that road and that fight. So just letting you know, okay? If you don't want these kind of difficult situations I've been talking about here manifesting in your life, what you should do is focus your Mars energy onto helping other people in crisis, fighting for other people in crisis situations. The people of Gaza right now, my God, stand up and be counted, with that situation, Fight for people in a situation of war, Mars, or the people of Ukraine, or other people around the world. There's so many people around the world who are in crisis situations, difficult situations. If somebody's been through a disaster, if somebody's been through a divorce, if somebody's been through some grief or some loss, get in there and take action for those people. That will help dissipate the difficult energy of this combination that might manifest in other areas of your life. Okay, so work with this energy to your best advantage, my friends. Now, to just conclude, my beautiful Librans, we have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to Egypt with David Warner Matheson, my husband, Patricia Owen Lehman, and myself this November. And if you'd like to join us, you have until the last week of this month of June to book in. The link's in the description below. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places on this trip, but they do require advanced booking. So get in now and don't miss out. Thank you, lovely Librans. All right, Virgo rising, Virgo sun, Virgo moon people. The energy of Mars in Taurus is coming through your 9th house, but there's a really difficult square from Pluto forming this week, Virgo, and this is happening on the 11th of June at 1 degree of Taurus. If you've got anything around 1 degree of Taurus, you're going to feel it. Now, Mars here is going to cause you to put a lot of energy into travel and exploration and expanding your horizons. But Pluto is going to make it difficult. In traveling, you might encounter obstacles. You might encounter frustrations. You might, even though you're probably quite insatiable under this energy about wanting to travel, Pluto is not going to make it easy for you. And be very careful if you're traveling to war zones or sort of volatile areas, because it's very unstable with this energy. You might even attract violence in your life through traveling to those places. Think twice. Think twice about where you're traveling to. Is it safe? Don't take a risk. This is not an energy for risk-taking with travel this week. You will regret it. You might be taking a bit of a risk with belief systems and other cultures, exploring, researching, pursuing. Mars is to pursue some different knowledge, some higher wisdom, some ancient culture or belief system that you've never explored before. And that can really help get you out of a rut if you've been feeling stuck, I have to say. It's worth doing so. That's one way to use this energy for the good. In fact, if you have no lust for life, then your Mars needs a bit of activation, so spend time doing that. Or you could spend time with somebody who's from a foreign place. That would also have a similar effect. And also sports is Mars. Doing sports is healthy in order to overcome lethargy with this. Now, Mars in a square to Pluto can cause fights and argumentativeness. So the people you might be fighting with might be teachers, gurus, inspirational figures. They say something that pisses you off and you leave a shitty remark on their YouTube page, or you become more combative with a university lecturer, and you're sort of answering them back in class or something like that and trying to prove them wrong. You become an instigator of tension with an inspirational figure. So that can happen either online or in person, either way. You might become more competitive or in business with this energy, or in the more negative expression, you can have more arguments and clashes of opinion with father figures or authority figures as well. The ninth house is the house of what makes us happy or excited and what gives us a purpose. And Mars moving here might see you directing your attention to physical activities, sports, using your energy for something. And that's a healthy thing to do, absolutely. It make you happy this week. It make you excited this week. Just be careful of overdoing it. Pluto is empowering this Mars, and you think, oh, that's it, I'm going to go for a run, I'm going to go for a 10K run. You haven't been for a 10K run in 10 years. Lo and behold, you end up pulling a muscle, hurting yourself because you're so energized and excited. You think going for a run is going to make you happy. You overdo it, boom, injury, accident. So just be careful about those sorts of things. The ninth house also rules, or it's the house of opportunities. So being involved in a sporting team might give you an opportunity to network and create contacts that you haven't had before. Being involved in physical activity can open doors for you. Meeting people playing sports, maybe getting a sports scholarship, that kind of thing. Just know, though, the Pluto aspect does suggest that, it mightn't be a walk in the park. There might be some difficulties. You might be being very obsessive about a sports team that you're involved with, and everybody else in the team's like, stepping back, really going, okay, whatever, crazy person, that kind of thing. Pluto is to be obsessive, and Mars here might make you a little bit obsessive about the opportunities available to you with sports and come across in a manner that you don't mean to. Ninth house is about teaching other people too. You might want to be a yoga teacher or a Tai Chi teacher or a martial arts teacher or something under this energy. What a great thing to do. I wouldn't start a business, though, of that nature under Pluto square. It will cause you confrontation and conflict with your students. If you are becoming the teacher in some martial area, and you start your business or you undertake your classes when Pluto is squaring Mars, you're going to piss a lot of people off. You won't intend to. Probably you'll be wondering how it even happened, but this is Mars energy and when it's in a square to Pluto here. If you're a motivational coach of some description, just be careful with your students this week and what you say and do. Don't push them to extremes. Don't, be overbearing. Don't be manipulative. This energy won't do you any favors in that regard. Ninth house is the house of believing in something, and Mars is quite a pushy planet. Pluto is going to be aggravating that even more. So, you can, if you have a certain belief, my God, you're going to be so blunt and dogmatic about your belief. You might even be really aggressive about your belief. There's going to be a lot of religious battles fought by Virgo people this week, I'm afraid. And be conscious and aware. And if you see yourself doing it, pull yourself up and say, is this even worth it? Are people even going to listen to me with what I've got to say? Okay, careful around that. Fighting a spiritual, verbal war or aggressive war. And hopefully this doesn't spill over into what we're seeing going on in the world right now, being exacerbated either. Now, this position also indicates perhaps an interest in sexual experiences with foreigners, or if you're going on a holiday or traveling overseas, a drive to find someone to have sex with. Okay, so that's the lowest manifestation, or not a low manifestation. It's a difficult manifestation. I would say don't even go there. Please don't go there. This energy, I think there was a young woman years ago in Australia who traveled to Croatia for some reason, and she was all over the news for disappearing, and her family were devastated, and she'd got involved in some sort of sexual incident while she was away and ended up being murdered or something like that. I don't know whether this energy of Pluto square to Mars was playing out in her chart at the time. I don't know what her chart was like. But that is the kind of thing that we can sometimes see happening. Needn't be murder. It could be just some cruelty or violence or something like that occurs as a result of getting involved in a sexual experience if you're overseas traveling or with a foreigner. Cool your heels. Don't be in such a rush for that sort of thing, and be very, very cautious and careful. Mars rules production, manufacturing, and machines. And some of you might be interacting in some way with a foreign manufacturing company for some reason, for business potentially here. Pluto might be empowering that, but there might be a problem that's involved, or an issue, or an accident involving this manufacturing company overseas that you then have to deal with as well. Mars also wants innovation. So you'll be looking for innovative belief systems, and you'll probably be wanting to challenge any outdated belief systems as well that are in your life at this time. Sometimes that's a good thing. Mars is to cut. It might come with a bit of a challenge, a bit of difficulty because of the Pluto square, but it's not a bad thing to innovate your belief systems and look for something that is more your truth. So Virgo, I just want to conclude by saying we have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to ancient Egypt with us in November. And if you would like to join us, I've got heaps of videos about this upcoming tour with David Warner Matheson, my husband, and Patricia Arwan Lehman and myself. Well, you have until the last week of June to book in. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places on this tour, and they require advance booking to confirm the tour. So get in now. Don't miss out. This is going to be the tour of a lifetime. Nice. Thank you, Virgo. Now moving on to Leo. Leo rising, sun or moon people. Well, you've got Mars, the warrior planet, in your 10th house, but it's making a trine with Pluto at 1 degree of Taurus. This is happening on the 11th of June. And whenever this occurs in Taurus, it means things that of Mars-Pluto square nature, which are difficult, might be very slow to manifest, but long to last. So we need to be very conscious about how we deal with this next week, my friends. Okay, so Mars in the 10th house, when it's squaring Pluto, well, 10th house is the house of worldly achievements and worldly actions, career, the legacy we leave, our executive power, our success. It's tremendous energy that we will have this week to put towards those things. You know, Mars has great directional strength in the 10th house. We're very enthusiastic, and we may find that this week we're not quite satisfied with just the ordinariness, let's say, of our job. We become, because of the square to Pluto, somewhat obsessed with our ambitions, obsessed with winning, obsessed with transforming our lives career-wise into something that feels more aligned with us now. The trouble is we can take dangerous risks. We can act without thinking we're invincible. I'm sick of this job. Screw my boss. You can, take this job and shove it. We go and chuck it in, and then nothing else comes up, and somehow we're going to meet the rent, and somehow we're going to make ends meet. But we've been impulsive, and then we regret it when this energy is at play. So be very conscious. Act with thoughtfulness. Don't jump in, boots and all, without thinking, because this energy is not much fun when it leads to difficulties like that. Yes, you might not be satisfied with an ordinary job right now, but use this time to do some deep research about your options instead of just, jumping in the deep end with something. You will want to, over the next probably month or two, actually, as Mars is here, you'll want to create a magnificent vocation for yourself. Just be careful of, taking things to some difficult extreme now with the square from Pluto. But it's really an energy that's going to make you want to get up and go. You're going to feel more competitive in career, and you're going to be like going for that promotion, going for that job interview, taking or establishing your own business, an entrepreneurial idea in some way. You're really going to go for it now. And that can be really, really good. Just watch out for being manipulative and ruthless and aggressive with your competition. That can lead to, bad karma for a start, but it can also lead to people getting absolutely pissed off with you. Mars is anger, clashes, and power struggles, and here it's in the house of authority figures. You might be quite ruthless about pursuing a new job position, but the boss is watching what you're doing and going, oh my God, that's just off what you're doing. You're being so ruthless and obsessive there, and you might actually have a run-in with your boss about it rather than getting where you want to go. If you're dealing with, judges or police or people in some kind of authoritative position over you, there can be, butting heads and clashes that might occur. Be very careful about what you say and how you behave in those situations. It's going to have a flow-on effect. Now, Mars here might cause you to really climb that ladder to the top of the tree. Any career that's especially requiring, competitiveness and ladder climbing and competition, like a real estate, agent, or, competing for a contract or a tender, that is the kind of thing we're talking about here. You might actually do well in it. Pluto can empower success in those realms, of course, but it might come with a sense of irritation and frustration and challenge in getting there to that position. The competition might be just so ruthless that you are left emotionally scarred even though you get where you want to go. Okay, so be careful with that as well. Mars in the 10th house, if you're somebody who's striving, Leo, and many of you are, I know, who would like to be famous or a celebrity or well known. I mean, Leo is inclined that way. Let's be straight up about it. And Mars in the 10th house can give you the chance to be perhaps recognized as something of a sex symbol. 10th house is what the public sees the most. And with a planet like Mars transiting here for the next month or so, people are going to see your sexuality, your sexiness, even if you're not naturally inclined that way. And, that's, all for the good. Just don't, think about the people who've used their sexuality to get them somewhere. Often we don't have the greatest respect for those people in the long term. Now, I'm not talking about the casting couch here. I'm talking about, I think in Italy, probably 40 years ago, there was a sex worker actually who was running for parliament or, a political position in Italy, and heard about it on the news over here in Australia. And she got so much media attention because she just pull up her top and show her boobs all the time. And that was her approach to, her running for a political position. I don't know if anyone in Italy remembers that person, but I remember as a child being very intrigued by what the hell is she doing? And also thinking, I actually don't have a lot of respect for that person, So that's a Pluto square Mars in the 10th house kind of behavior, kind of energy. Might get you somewhere, might get you recognition, might get you seen, but what are people going to really think in the long run? Are they going to take you seriously? I don't know. Another way that this can express is people might see you as an innovator or a rebel, somebody who's giving the world the bird, taking on the status quo in some way. And that can be, generally, I like to see things turned a bit on their head, especially if they're old and dated and full of cobwebs and time that they were kicked out anyway. But with Pluto square here, it mightn't be in the best interest. Pluto's coming from the house of other people. Other people might be pushing your buttons, Leo, causing you to rebel, and it could actually have a detrimental effect. Somebody leaves a negative comment on a video. I'm a Leo, I'm going to use something from my life. Someone leaves a negative comment on a video, and I decide, F this, I'm sick of, people doing this sort of thing. I'm going to rebel against these nasty people, and I leave a rude comment in return. And all my audience, 7th house, go, oh, Kesenya's a horrible person. What am I doing following her channel? Oh, unsubscribe. So that's just an illustration. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. But Mars can make us very rebellious against other people now. And we do it in a public forum, a public way, and it can cause a lot of trouble in the long run, okay? So authority figures in our life, I just should say we can just develop a reputation, 10th house, for antagonizing people, which nobody wants to be known for that, but this is a week where it might just manifest, so be very careful. Authority figures can be seen from the 10th house as well. They might be being more Mars-like towards us, provoking, competitive, pushy, militant, driven, antagonistic. Okay, so that can be a thing as well. Not fun, let's face it. But there is a more positive manifestation of this energy. Some of you might be very empowered to be successful at some sort of sports endeavor, or using your energy in a positive entrepreneurial way could be a very, very empowered move for you right now. Clashes with bosses and authority figures, but it can also, this energy can push you to climb higher so you don't have to deal with authority figures and bosses now. This can cause you, Leo, to want to be the one in charge. Leos tend to want that anyway, very autonomous, sort of independent energy, but more so than ever. You might have had a gutful of working for that government organisation by the time this Mars Pluto square arrives, and just be careful about throwing the baby out with the bathwater and, quitting your job and then not having anything to go to. But what it can do in the positive is push you to create your own, not government, obviously, unfortunately, but, it might push you to become a consultant instead of working for the organisation, working for the man. You're going to do it on your terms, your way now. So that can be a powerful step forward as well, and use this energy for good. 10th house is the people who rule us, like I've said, government, prime ministers. Okay, this is an energy for being in conflict with those people. This is an energy, Leo, for those people trying to squash your kingly nature. Leo is king. And you're very magnanimous. There's a confidence and an inner knowing that Leo people have. They know who they are. They know their power. And let me just say, this energy might see the government, organizations and structures trying to squash your autonomy, squash your independence, squash your sovereignty through some event this week. Forewarned, forearmed. If it happens, you'll know why. Try and act with the Leo dignity that you have in spades. Now, if you're not feeling motivated to compete and get to the top during this particular week especially, then I would suggest you might need to think twice of whether this job you're in is the right one for you. Because this energy is going to push you to want to get to a higher position. And if you're not feeling it, then this job might not be the right one that's aligned with what your horoscope has in store for you. So allow yourself to cool your heels a little bit and wait and see where you're at in, say, 2 weeks, 3 weeks time, and then consider changing jobs. Consider applying for other jobs, or you might even like to start applying this week if you're feeling that already. Apply for other jobs, but just don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. So that's what I want to share for our Leo friends. It can be successful, but there can be challenges. I want you to be ready for them. Leo, we have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to ancient Egypt this November with David Warner Matheson, my husband, and Patricia Arwan Lehman, and myself. And if you'd like to join us for this tour of a lifetime, you have until the last week of June to make your booking. The link's in the description below. We have a special privilege on this tour, privileged site access to a number of sacred places. The thing is that they require advanced booking for numbers, so we need to get in now before the end of June. Make sure you sign up. Don't miss out. This is going to be the most amazing trip. Thank you so much, Leo. All right, Cancer. Cancer rising, sun or moon people. Well, Pluto square Mars is going to be felt in your 11th house, Cancer. This is happening on the 11th of June, but you'll probably feel it all week. And it's happening, you'll feel it very strongly if you have anything at 1 degree of Taurus. So this is an energy, or the 11th house is all about gainfulness. And Mars here gives you a tremendous ambition, especially when it's square to Pluto, to be financially gainful. You're going to really go for it. You're going to pursue gainfulness this week. You're going to look for ways to make money, usually through your own autonomous efforts. Mars is autonomous. Pluto can empower this, but I'd say because of the square aspect, it's not going to come without a struggle. And you do need to be conscious of being aggressive and ruthless and manipulating in achieving this, okay? You don't want bad karma coming out of this. Yes, you've got to go for things. Yes, you've got to fight for money and success and so forth. High positions in society, leadership positions, making money, getting returns for the work you're putting out there. Yep, you've got to fight for that. You've got to go for it. But just make sure that you're not squashing other people in the process or ignoring other people in the process. Mars rules thirst and hunger. And as he travels through your 11th house, you're going to thirst and hunger for more economic gains in life and societal gains as well. You might be putting a lot of enthusiasm and activity into some sort of group endeavors, social groups, sporting clubs. The 11th house rules society, and Mars is about change through energy and drive. So you might be very keen to make changes in society and to be an influence in society for change, and a bit of a rebel as well. That can be good. I don't have a problem with people doing that. Just be careful it doesn't take a toll on your mental health or anything like that. But it can be an energy where you are given the opportunity to lead big groups of people. The trouble is it might lead to some sort of aggressiveness or conflict between you and large groups of people. This is the house of large groups of people. Pluto square can mean that you're trying to lead, you're trying to push things forward in some dynamic way in a social situation, and the people don't like it and they get aggressive. This is the house of friendships, of course, as well. And unfortunately, Mars square Pluto can mean that you're fighting with friends this week, or they're butting heads with friends. There's just an energy of being annoyed by friends, frustrated with friends, manipulated by friends that might happen. You're being potentially over competitive with friends as well. One way to mitigate this is to direct that energy of competitiveness and high vigor into group games. Maybe take your mates out to play paintball, or do some team sports, or kayaking, surfing, trail riding, things that require energy. I'd steer away from car racing as a group sport, because unfortunately this is also an energy of accidents, and you don't want to be involved in that kind of a situation. But, conscious sports and competitive situations with other people that are healthy, go for it. Be careful of being ruthless with friends, though. Obviously, it can create tension and upsets. It's best to focus on channeling your enthusiasm and your vibrance into these activities with friends, lest Mars come across as provoking and risk-taking and impulsively rash and annoying this week. There might also be a need to evaluate your friends for tendencies towards these qualities too. Your friends might be being provoking. Your friends might be being competitive. Your friends might be being aggressive and argumentative. Are they always like that? If so, you might want to reconsider, do I want this friend? Because Mars is to cut. Pluto square Mars can see you cutting friends out of your life because you just had a gutful. Better to have positive Mars friends who are entrepreneurial, heroic, courageous, fighters for honor, fighters for truth, than friends who are aggressive and manipulative and all that sort of nasty Pluto square Mars stuff. You might develop a bit of a liking for organizing parties and holidays and social activities under this energy. That's always a bit of fun, so it's not all negative with this combination. And it can bring a lot of enthusiasm and capability towards networking and even help you create a big following. But usually in doing so, you might create a big following with really difficult people. Maybe you're putting yourself out there on the internet or on YouTube or something like that, Cancer, and you just get Mars's wounded people following you. Or manipulative people, Pluto square Mars, or people with a lot of psychological issues start following you, So yes, there's an energy of creating big networks here, but yeah, what kind of networks? Networks that are going to maybe be confronting or challenging for you in the future. Not much you can do about that. Maybe you've got some compassion to offer or some healing to give. Maybe that's a good thing, but just be aware that this energy does indicate that those sorts of people might be finding you and following your work. You can be a forceful presence for good, though, a warrior for good in the lives of those people if you choose to be. This is also a great, gives great potential to create above average gains. Pluto is the god of great wealth, and Mars is in, let me just add a couple of things up here. Mars is the lord of your 5th house in the 11th house right now by transit, which can bring a lot of gainfulness through lucky circumstances. So yay, that's good news. The trouble is that there might be a bit of frustration about it. Let's say you've got everybody signing up to do your course or something like that, but they're all wanting to pay with PayPal, and you don't have PayPal on your system, and so you're getting frustrated. Pluto square Mars, frustration about this money that you're earning through a large group activity or online event or whatever that you're creating. So yes, you can create money, but there's going to be some form of irritation or frustration that goes along with it that you're going to need to navigate and problem solve with. The 11th house is a house of people who have influence over others and people who fight for a social cause. So you might be inspired to fight for an important social cause now. And that can give a lot of purpose and meaning to your life, of course. You might be an energetic and enthusiastic bringer of new trends to large groups because of this energy. Mars is to create breakthroughs. Some of you might be creating some sort of breakthrough, Cancer, or innovation that is going to affect a large group of people, some sort of invention or something like that. Just know in doing so, I just have to point out this square from Pluto can just cause problems and irritation. So yes, there's great potential here, but there's also great challenges. Like you might be, like I keep saying, you could be attracting aggressive, ruthless and manipulative people, for example, in what you're trying to develop and the breakthrough that you're trying to create and so on. So just know that could be the case. But you can be gainful through real estate, mechanics, engineering, Mars things, which, include use of tools and implements, through war, through military, through entrepreneurship and inventions, of course. Starting something new that no one has seen before is also a powerful mechanism for gainfulness as well. So just be careful, because if you're starting something new or inventing something, Pluto square Mars is criminals, people who might steal your idea or try and take your inventiveness from you. Think about Nikola Tesla. I don't think he had this position in his natal chart, but he had his brilliance stolen from him. Be careful that doesn't happen to you this week by somebody, criminally interacting with the work that you're trying to put out there, okay? But you will be very driven to accomplish your goals now, almost to the point of obsession. Don't let it detract from your relationships with other people or your ability to socialize. Don't let your desire for success consume you to the point that it drives people away right now. So that's what I'm seeing for my Cancer friends. I just want to mention, Cancer, we have a beautiful group of people all set to travel to it's not ancient anymore, it's modern Egypt, but to Egypt with us this November. And if you'd like to join David Warner Matheson, Patricia Owen Lehman and myself, you have until the last week of June to book with us. The link's in the description below. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places in ancient Egypt, and those places require advanced booking. So we need to know by the end of June who's coming. Get in now, my friends. Don't miss out. This is the trip of a lifetime. Thank you, Cancer. And finally, we are at Gemini. Gemini, where there's so much activity going on at the moment. It's busy down in old Gemini these days. But the energy we're looking at this week is Mars, Pluto square, exhibiting through Mars at 1 degree of Taurus on the 11th of June. If you've got anything at 1 degree of Taurus, you'll feel this more than others. Now, Mars in a square aspect to Pluto in the 12th house, well, it's going to bring gossip, hidden enemies, and people acting behind the scenes in your life in a negative way. You're going to feel this from others this week. It's only a passing energy. It's not a permanent state of being. But people using subversive tactics against us is something that can manifest. And I must say, Gemini, sometimes it can manifest that we are the ones using the subversive tactics in our life under this influence. Keep your karma clean is all I'll say about that. So don't be surprised if you feel like somebody's on the attack, but put energy of protection around yourself, visualize yourself with a force field, speak to your guides and angels, get the protection that you need, because this can be rather challenging. It pays to be the warrior, and you might win Mars energy. You might win a battle through utilizing 12th house techniques, researching something, strategizing, which is a Mars energy, working behind the scenes rather than up front, so instead of confronting somebody, this is an energy that says you'll do better by not manipulating, but just working on something quietly in the background, so to speak, to deal with a certain situation. It can represent winning a spiritual war, or even a physical one, or a political war, a marketing war. This can be an energy for winning some kind of a war with Mars here in Taurus, the 12th house, but it's not going to be easy because you've got a Pluto square. The battle will be a hard one, and it'll be a deep, even psychological battle. You might have to battle with your inner self, your tendency to self-sabotage before you can win over something significant in your life. Many of you people, you beautiful Geminis, might be having very restless sleep. You might be dreaming of things that annoy you throughout the day, because at night your subconscious battles and are coming out in your dreams. So you can even get very profound, vivid psychic downloads, but nightmares are also possible, So Pluto square to Mars in the house of dreaming. I haven't had a nightmare in years, touch wood that doesn't happen, but this is an energy, Gemini, where it can pop up again. So have a strategy. What would you do if you woke up at 2 at night and you'd had a horrible dream? How would you calm yourself down and find your equilibrium, I'll say it right, again? Mars and Pluto squaring when Mars is in the 12th house can lead to some highly active sex life, so something very empowered, something very enthusiastic. I just want to say though, Mars, you might be desiring a lot of sex, but Mars squaring Pluto says it's probably best to cool your heels if you can, because Mars square Pluto is violent sex, cruel sex, and I just don't want any of my beautiful followers to end up with sort of difficulties or stresses or something because they went into something that they really didn't want to do. Okay, so be careful. This is a sexual house, and this is a difficult, traumatic sexual energy. One thing this could represent is perhaps pushing through or working through or psychologically addressing any sexual abuse that is in your past. That's a positive way to use this energy. You know, I'm not saying brood on it or meditate on it, but certainly explore it, maybe with a psychologist. This is one of the houses of psychology. Maybe do some self-help work and bring that crap out of the darkness, hold it in the light. When things are seen in the light, they lose their power over us. So it might be time that the universe is calling you to do some of that inner work if there is need to, Gemini. You might find it difficult to sit and meditate under this influence. You'll feel more restless. Better to go for a meditative walk or do some sort of spiritual yoga or Tai Chi. Moving the body in the house of meditation when Mars is here is a good idea. It helps our meditations to sort of feel more aligned with us. So you might be very interested in getting involved in those sorts of things now. Subconscious fears and worries can start to crop up under this energy. You know, you might start to worry about violence and war, and rightly so, given the state of the world right now. It can ultimately, though, with the square to Pluto, lead to more psychic and imaginative exhaustion. You know, you're just burnt out, you know, and worrying so much and getting anxiety about Mars-related things. So, you know, it can even happen on the astral level. You can wake up feeling exhausted because you've been dreaming about it. It can give you insomnia. So again, have some strategies for dealing with that. Another way this can express is you might be having very vivid fantasies, sexual fantasies and sexual dreams under this influence, you know, because of Pluto's square as well. The 12th house rules escapist places, prisons, libraries, hospitals, ashrams, monasteries, retreats, holidays, communities, you know, retreat communities, that sort of thing. It's good to use this energy of Mars here to perhaps engage with some of those kinds of places, take an active energetic holiday to a retreat community or something like that, or maybe get a private fitness instructor, go to some sort of escapist, boot camp or something like that with Mars here is a good idea. But a negative way that this could manifest is that you might, if you're going to a place like that, you might sort of conflict with people there or have confrontation or arguments with people at the ashram, can you imagine? Or, get into a feisty situation with somebody at a hospital, maybe disagreeing with the doctor or the surgeon and having it off, like argy-bargy with them, letting the words fly. That could also happen too with this combination too. You might be, one way you could use this in the positives is to do some research. 12th house has to do with research on Mars-based themes at a library, deep diving into the history of war, entrepreneurship ideas, real estate, surgeries. These things are ruled by Mars. So looking into Mars things, machinery, inventions, knives, sharp implements, tools, all that kind of stuff. Another thing that you could do to utilize this energy in the positive is to do some sort of compassionate work for people who are involved in war, people who are in hospital, people who are imprisoned. By doing that, you're actually channeling the best of this energy, and then it's less likely that these challenging things would manifest. Mars rules breakthroughs in life. To manifest a breakthrough over the next month for yourself, you need to perhaps travel. But I would suggest not doing so while Pluto is squaring Mars. You're more likely to encounter an accident or a situation of violence if you travel under Pluto square Mars while Mars is in the 12th house. Wait until about a week until this energy is over, and then you can go overseas, then go to an escapist place, then do your research. And you will find that you develop, out of doing so, while Mars is here, you can have a breakthrough in life, an epiphany, an aha moment, an insight that changes your world. You're probably going to need, I would say, during the week that Pluto is squaring Mars, some healthy, creative, and even spiritual way of expressing frustration and anger. So do the art therapy if you're feeling irritated, dance therapy, music therapy. Great ideas for dealing with the irritated energy of Mars Pluto square. Now, my beautiful Gemini friends, we have a gorgeous group of people all set to travel to Egypt with us later in the year in November. And if you'd like to join David Warner Matheson, Patricia Owen Lehman, and myself, all you've got to do is head to the link in the description and make your booking with us by the end of June. We have special privileged site access to a number of sacred places in Egypt, but they require us to make advance booking. So get in now and don't miss out. This will be the trip of a lifetime. Thank you for joining us, my beautiful YouTube friends. I hope this reading is a blessing to you during what will be quite a challenging week, but we can all get through it and we can support one another together. I look forward to having another Astro Weather Report for you next week.